Hello friends, this is Dr. Milind Vishnubandhu Shirbhate, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, Shankarlal Khandelwal, Arts, Science and Commerce College, Akola. Today we will discuss about the introduction to the chick embryology, in which we will discuss following points, that is cleavage, blastulation and fat maps. For this video I have prepared for the students of BSc first year SEM 2 Zoology. Dear friends, all of you know the Gallus or the common fowl, common Indian fowl, all of you know the Gallus, that is the hen. It is preferable to study. Why the embryology of chick or the common fowl is preferable to study to that of the pigeon? We will see there are several advantages to study this animal embryology. We will see one by one. The embryology of chick has been worked out more extensively only because of the following reasons. The eggs of the fowl are large or of convenient size, easily available throughout the year and can be incubated artificially in the incubator, or in our laboratory we can easily incubate these eggs and see the different phases of the embryology. The various developmental stages can be easily available in the laboratory conditions for experimental purposes. Moreover, the process of development has been most thoroughly worked out in the fowl. The embryology of chick bears many resemblances with those of the reptiles and the mammals. A comparative study of embryology of the different birds exhibit that it is essentially similar in all the birds with only minor unimportant differences. Despite these reasons, the embryology of the chick is important due to phylogenetic significance. In chick, development is direct, that is without a larval stage, so that is the very much important thing in the embryological point of view to study the embryological details. So that's why this topic is included in your syllabus, dear friends. In this particular figure you are able to see the mating of female and male, where the testicles and the sperm tubes are easily clearly seen, and in case of female the ovarian tube and ovaries are clearly seen. This causes the fertilization between cock and the hen, which is the better example of internal fertilization. And in the corner you are able to see the male of the hen or cock. The fertilization of chicken egg we will discuss. In this, the rooster sperm has an extremely long lifespan. This sperm can be stored in the hen's infundibulum up to 30 days. When the ovary releases a yolk, these sperms can fertilize the eggs. A fertilized egg will then hatch after it is laid down by the female. This is the very basic terminology in case of hen. A table egg is an egg that is not fertilized. In market there are so many eggs available. These are unfertilized eggs. Fertilization in the hen we will discuss how it occurs. The ova are released from the ovary in the form of primary oocytes. The second maturation division occurs after ovulation in the oviduct. The released primary oocyte in the body of coelom is grasped and swallowed by the ostium of the oviduct. The secondary oocyte or ovum after second maturation division is surrounded by several 5 or 6 sperms which enter in it. We call it as polyspermy, but only one sperm succeeds in the fertilization process. The nucleus of one sperm fuses with the female nucleus, we call it as amphimixis, and the nuclei of other sperms they get degenerated. As the fertilized egg passes downward inside the oviduct, it rotates, undergoes cleavage, and various accessory egg membranes are laid down over the developing egg. Thus, fertilization is internal. The various egg membranes secreted around the egg are the albumen, the shell membranes, or the shell itself. Now we will see the structure of hen's egg or egg of a hen. The egg is about 3.0 centimeter in diameter and is polylacithal. It is entirely filled up by the yolk, and over it, that is in the animal pole, lies the small cytoplasmic disc with a nucleus. The disc is called as blastodisc. The yolk has a central mass of white yolk around which the alternate concentric layers of yellow and white yolk are easily seen. The central flask-shaped white yolk called latebra runs from the center to the lower side of the blastodisc, and there it gets spreads to form the nucleus of Pander. The yolk and the blastodisc are bounded by a plasma membrane and the outer vitelline membrane, which is a converted form of zona radiata. The vitelline membrane is of double origin. The inner layer of the membrane is produced in the ovary between the oocyte and follicle cells, and it is composed of very tough fibers. The outer layer of it is formed in the upper part of the fallopian tube in females. The yolk contains 48.7% water, 32.6% phospholipids and fats, 16% of proteins, 1% of carbohydrate and 1.1% of other chemical molecules. This is the composition of yolk. Its proteins are in the form of phosphatidyl and lipovitellin or a livetin. The fat is predominantly neutral fat, 50% of is. Rest is the phosphatids, cerebrosides and the cholesterol. This is the particular diagram as you are seeing continuously. The egg of hen, it is having chalaza, the albumin, the yolk, yellow colored, white type of yolk, vitelline membrane, inner shell membrane, air spaces, outer shell membrane, calcareous shell, active cytoplasm, and on the above surface you are able to see the blastodisc. This is the another type of diagram, that is, it is also showing the shell hard, shell membrane, inner shell membrane, albumin, germinal disc, blastodisc, yolk, vitelline membrane, yolk, chalaza and the air chambers as shown in the figure. Now we will see the fertilized type of egg. The fertilized egg or the zygote is converted by a layer of dense viscous albumin which forms a thin chalaziferous layer around the vitelline membrane. These dense albumin forms two twisted cords or chalaza or chalazae, one at each end of the zygote. They are formed by rotation of the egg during its movement through the oviduct. Around the chalaziferous layer is a thick layer of watery albumin. All albumin is secreted by upper glandular walls or magnum of the oviduct. The functions of albumin are to provide nutrition to the embryo, serves as water store, and also acts as a protective envelope for protecting the embryo from mechanical and chemical injuries. The albumin and the yolk also contains a variety of enzymes, vitamins, pigments and phosphorus. The isthmus part of the oviduct secretes two shell membranes made up of tough keratin fibers matter together. The two shell membranes are closely applied except at the blunt end of the egg, where they are separated by an air space formed after the egg is laid. The nidamental glands of the oviduct secretes a porous calcareous shell which soon hardens. Now eggshell, about eggshell we will discuss. It is pierced by a larger number of about 7,000 of fine pores filled with a protein related to the collagen. The diameter of the pores varies from 0.04 to 0.05 millimeters. These pores allow exchange of gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide, during respiration of the developing embryo. The egg is laid 24 hours after the fertilization, and its further development takes place when the egg is incubated by the female. Incubation must continue steadily for 21 days at a temperature of 103 degree Fahrenheit or 39.44 degrees centigrades. Now we will discuss the most important point in this, that is cleavage and blastulation in the chick. Chick is meroblastic or discoidal and is confined only to be germinal disc or blastodisc. It does not segment the yolk of the polylecithal egg, and it is later eventually surrounded by the growing tissues of the embryo. First two cleavages are at the right angles to each other in the center of the blastodisc. These cleavage furrows do not cut the germinal disc completely through in the vertical plane. The third set of cleavage furrows is vertical, cutting across the second set of vertical furrows. The fourth cleavage furrow is also vertical and circular, cutting across all the cleavage furrows, forming 8 central blastomeres which are surrounded by the 8 marginal blastomeres. Thus, the cleavage furrows separate the daughter central blastomeres from each other but not from the yolk. The central blastomeres are continuous with the underlying yolk at their lower ends. The marginal blastomeres are continuous with the uncleaved cytoplasm and their outer edges. Further, cleavages are irregular. The central cells divide more rapidly. The marginal cells also divide by the appearance of the new horizontal and radial furrows. The new formed inner cells of marginal blastomeres are added to the central cells, resulting in the increase in the volume of these areas. The radial furrows extend peripherally, and these peripheral cells are still continuous with the uncleaved peripheral cytoplasm as shown in this figure. In this figure, you are able to see the diagram A, that is, it is showing 2-cell stage, B is showing 4-cell, C is showing 20 cells stage, and D is the late cleavage stage. In the latter stage of cleavage, the blastomeres of the central area become separated from the underlying yolk due to the appearance of the horizontal cleavage in this type of cells. This cleavage extends peripherally, cutting the inner ends of the blastomeres. Thus, a space also appears in the beginning beneath the central cells, which also extends peripherally as the horizontal cleavage extends outwards. Now, the cavity beneath the central cells, that is in between the central cells and yolk, is called as subgerminal cavity, which is filled with the fluid diffused from the albumen through vitelline membrane. Thus, due to further cleavage, the blastodisc becomes cellular, called as blastodome, a rounded disc 5 to 6 cells deep in center but only 1 to 2 cells deep in the periphery. The appearance of subgerminal cavity separates the blastodome from the underlying yolk, but the marginal cells remain overlapping the yolk. The embryo is now called as blastula stage. At blastula stage, the embryo reaches in the uterus. It may be compared to the blastula of Amphioxus and frog in the earlier videos as you have seen. Its subgerminal cavity is equivalent to the blastocele. The blastodome is the animal pole and the yolk is the vegetal pole in case of chick. During latter part of the cleavage, about 12 to 14 hours after the egg reaches the uterus or 6 to 4 hours before the egg is laid, some cells on the inner and underside of the blastodome become detached or delaminated from the blastodome and fall on the floor of the subgerminal cavity due to presence of the relative more yolk. The delamination of these yolk cells from the blastodome starts at the posterior edge and spreads forward until the whole blastodome becomes free from the yolk cells. As a result, the epithelial layer in the central region of the blastodome becomes thinner, few layers of the cells, and is transparent one. Thus, this region is called as area pellucida because it seems to be transparent when viewed from the upper side of the embryo. The peripheral part of the blastodome, the yolky cells, is not delaminated, that is not shaded. So, this part of the blastodome seems to be opaque because beneath these cells, blastocele is not present. This region of blastodome is called as area opaca. These delaminated cells at the posterior edge of the area pellucida gradually link up with each other, forming a continuous layer of flattened cells which extends anteriorly This layer is called the hypoblast, and the upper layer is the epiblast containing ectoderm and mesodermal cells. Hypoblast is exclusively composed of endodermal cells. The egg is laid by the female about the time the blastula is formed, or even a little later. If you see in the diagram, this diagram I will show you. I am showing you in case of fed maps of cheek blastoderm, how the fed maps get mapped. A surface view of epiblast in the diagram A you are able to see. In the B, diagrammatic section of discoblastula showing the fed map of epiblast and hypoblast at a glance. In this diagram you are able to see the area opaca and area pellucida. In area pellucida, the development of the neural ectoderm, limits of the embryonic epidermis, notochordal mesoderm, somatic mesoderm, and also the precaudal mesoderm is clearly seen in this particular diagram A at the posterior side. And if you see in the diagram B, there is a diagrammatic section of discoblastula showing the fed map of epiblast and the hypoblast at a glance. If you see the presumptive fed maps of the blastula, the fed maps of the blastula of the cheek have been prepared by using vital stains such as carmine or carbon, that is charcoal particles, or radioactive thymidine molecules. It shows that blastomeres of the area opaca do not form any part of the embryo proper, they form only extra embryonic membranes. If you see the diagrammatic representation, in this you are able to see the fed map of epiblast of a bird prepared by radioactive thymidine marking, presumptive head mesoderm, and N shows the notochord. So here you are easily seeing the extraembryonic ectoderm, embryonic epidermis, neural plate, the HM, that is presumptive head and mesoderm, the N, that is notochord, is getting formed, the gut is also forming, yolk sac in the center, lateral plates, and extraembryonic mesoderm you are clearly able to see in this particular diagram. This is the fed map of epiblast of a bird. The epiblast and hypoblast of area pellucida have different fates in the course of embryonic development, as already we have discussed. The fate maps prepared by the use of trichiated thymidine have shown the following structures in the epiblast. In the center, as already discussed, the area pellucida and the notochord. So, dear students, in this video we have discussed about the embryology of chick, in which we have discussed the cleavage in detail, blastulation in detail, and the details in the fed maps. In the next video we will discuss about the gastrulation of chick embryo. So thanks for watching. Thank you very much.